Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Everyday Carry for the Everyday Guy. So this week I'm going to continue my series on flashlights, and we're going to have a look at defensive flashlights. If you follow my channel, you'll know last week I did the difference between lumens and candela. So this week we're going to have a look at flashlights that have defensive applications. Note, I did not say tactical flashlights. I said flashlights that have defensive applications. And we're going to have a look at quite a few: side switch, tail switch, magnetic tail switch, all those things. And I'm going to give you my opinion based on my experiences with these lights, as well as some training that I've gotten. And those of you who follow my channel know I did a course with SA Tactical Institute. It was a low light, no light pistol course where we primarily used the firearm with a handheld flashlight. And I learned quite a lot on that course, and I really want to share that with you guys. So if you guys look at making a purchase on a flashlight, you can buy the flashlight you want for the purpose you want it for. For those of you who are interested, the course, the light I used to run the course was the PowerTac Valor. This is a little 800 lumen AA battery flashlight, and I have to be honest, it performed spectacularly. A really functional, capable flashlight using AA batteries of all things. Old school, right? The old school stuff works. What I learned on this course is that the dumb things are generally the things that work the best. Okay, so I've got my notes here in front of me. I made notes as quickly as possible, as soon as I got home yesterday on the course, that I could remember the things I wanted to say to you. So let's get to it. First of all, the thing I want to talk to you about is on-off control, strobe control, shall I say, right? So this flashlight has a rubberized tail switch, and it's got a lot of travel. So it goes on, and there's quite a lot of travel before it clicks on and goes into constant on. The whole course that I did yesterday, I never used constant on once. I was in momentary on the entire course. So if you're looking at a flashlight for defensive purposes, the control over momentary on is really important. Being able to control momentary on at your will, meaning momentary on, right? But also momentary on. You understand what I'm saying? Having that control, especially on this course, was vital. We did things called painting with light. I'm not going to get into it too much because I'm going to do the review of that course next week, but it's something like that. And having that control over momentary on is it really assists with your tactics. Now there's the whole tactical word, right? Remember, your environment determines your tactics. And in this instance, the environment and the training required a really capable and user-friendly momentary on. Now the other momentary on is the one you get on pretty much all Olight flashlights that have a tail switch. It's a press and hold momentary on, okay? And then a single tap for constant. Now watch what happens if I want to do that with this light. See how it stays on? So I'm losing a bit of control because of the programming in the Warrior Mini. And to be fair, I've said from the beginning, the Warrior Mini is a utilitarian flashlight at heart, in my opinion. I don't see this as a defensive flashlight in the general standard terminology of a defensive flashlight. I see this more as a utility flashlight that has a tail cap. Okay, this is more of a defensive flashlight if you want to put it into those two categories. Okay, so momentary on, having that perfect control. Watch, I can't do that with this light. I have to double tap it. If I light tap it, it goes either into the low mode, or if I light or quick tap it a bit harder, it goes into constant on. Now there is an option on this light that will give you a momentary on only, which you might think is perfect. But what happens if I'm using my flashlight and my teammate or my buddy gets injured and it's dark, why would that's why I'm using my flashlight, and I now need a constant on. So for example, I click it constant on, I tuck it in my neck, I do what I need to do, and I go back and I can put it, you see what I'm saying? This light, and it's nothing wrong with this light, I'm just using it as the example, guys. Understand, as a utilitarian light, the Warrior Mini is great. It's a brilliant utility light. But I'm just using this as an example because it very accurately talks about or explains what I'm trying to explain. If you put this light into the momentary on only option, you now don't have the option of constant on. So there's where, first of all, you got to look at what am I buying a flashlight for? Am I someone who's going to buy a flashlight and potentially use it in a defensive capacity? And if so, you're going to have to look at the best tool for that. The next thing I want to talk to you about is accessibility. So when this thing goes into your pocket, you want to be able to retrieve it. It mustn't be too thin or too small. I've noticed that the PowerTac series of lights, I've been very impressed with them lately. They seem to be just the right size length, even though these are a bit thicker in circumference. How best do I show this? These are a bit thicker in circumference to the Valor. They sit, you'll see where the tail switch, sorry, the tail clip ends. There's enough of it outside your pocket to make it easily accessible. You know, for a defensive flashlight, you don't want something sitting so deep in your pocket, you have to fumble around to get it out. Also, the orientation of it in your pocket. I'm a big fan of having bezel down orientation. So that when I reach for it and I pull that guy out, it's ready to go. And then the size of the flashlight is really important. So this flashlight, for example, this is the Manke EO5 or the Trustfire, what is the L2? It's hard for me to remember all these names. Tail cap operation, they sort of almost achieve all the requirements for a defensive flashlight. But for example, if you are running your light and you've got your firearm in your hand and it's whatever, let's say you get a malfunction or a stoppage, you need to stow this light somewhere. You run your immediate action drill, tap, rack, whatever the case may be, you retrieve your firearm and you're back in the fight. Okay, doing that with something like this, you've got your light and your firearm and now you have your malfunction. So now you tuck it under your arm and you do your tap rack and now you've got to retrieve it, but do you understand what I'm saying? So pay attention to the size of your flashlight, okay? If you're wanting it for defensive application, it's more than likely going to have to be a little bit bigger. You are going to sacrifice a little bit of comfort in your pocket. The sacrifice is worth it, okay, for the emotional comfort of knowing you have the right tool for the job. If you are someone who truly believes you are never going to go for a flashlight in a defense situation, then you can run the smallest flashlight you want, right? They go really tiny. And that does move me on to the fact that, or to the point of who should be carrying a flashlight. In my personal opinion, a handheld flashlight is a mandatory part of your EDC. A weapon-mounted light is highly recommended as far as I'm concerned, but this is mandatory. It's as mandatory as a good holster, as a good firearm, as a multi-tool knife, whatever the case may be. If you're carrying all those things, you should be carrying a handheld flashlight as well. I'll give you a few instances. People think, well, I'm not out at night and whatever the case may be. If you're in a shopping mall and the power goes out, some shopping malls, especially the smaller ones, don't have generators, okay? Or the generators are faulty, whatever the case may be, poor maintenance. If the lights go out in a shopping mall, it's dark, okay, completely dark. If you go to a shopping mall and look at it, especially if it's nighttime already, they don't have much natural light coming into shopping mall. Everything's air conditioned and all those things. So natural light isn't the world's biggest deal for them. Even if you're in a building, moving from a really well-lit area to a dimly lit area to a well-lit area does a ton with your eyes, okay? You're going to want to have a flashlight just in case. I use my flashlight so often, and it's not always at night. I really do use my flashlight often. The next thing I want to talk about is if you're going to use a flashlight for defensive purposes, train with the one you intend to carry most often. There are many reasons for this. The one I think is most important is if you take two different flashlights. So this is the Manker MC11 and this is the PowerTac Valor. Just a simple concept, guys. The amount of pressure I apply on this flashlight to get momentary on is not the same as the amount of, you see? I was subconsciously applying the same amount of pressure, but this went into constant. Okay, so you've got to build up that muscle memory. What I really like about the PowerTac series of flashlights is the tail switch is almost like a brake pedal. The more you depress it, the harder it becomes to depress, right? So it becomes really easy to stay in momentary. And then as with your brake pedal, when you want to hit that brake and lock the brakes, you very easily can. So train with a flashlight that you're going to run, because not all tail switches, whilst they have defensive application, rubberized, long travel, they don't all take the same amount of pressure to achieve momentary and constant on. So very important aspect there, guys. Pick a light, stick with the light, train with that light, so your muscles, your dumb muscles, learn the amount of pressures required to run that light. And it's very simple. It's literally the same as a brake pedal. When you get into a brand new car or someone else's car that you haven't driven, you got to get used to how light or heavy the brake pedal is, right? Same thing on the tail switch of a flashlight. If you want to achieve that momentary on, it's a very specific pressure, and you don't want to learn what that pressure is for the first time when you need to use momentary on. Also, another thing I want to talk to you about when it does come to size in the hand and the ability of your thumb to reach that tail switch. I like this because big or small hands, you have enough real estate here, okay? Think about it. So most of the time when we go to the range, it's on a nice warm day and it's a really comfortable environment, or if it's an indoor range, then it's air conditioned and well lit. On the course we were doing, it was cold, it was dark, and it was windy. You begin to lose dexterity in your fingertips, okay? So you don't want something that you have to hold like that, you know, so small in order to access it. You want a really big dumb tool, you want a hammer, you know, that you can grip tightly and that button is there all the time and it's easy to index, that sort of thing. So consider that in the environment in where you're going to use your flashlight defensively, you can't always determine what that environment's like. You might be running gloves, okay? Something that I picked up with the Warrior Mini. If I take the pad of my finger, of my thumb, and I press it, I can only depress it just about enough to get to the highest level. Actually, now I can't. See, there I go. So I'm using a lot of pressure here. Whereas if I do the exact same thing on the PowerTac light, very easy to get that momentary. So understanding your light, understanding its capabilities, understanding the capability of the light in the hand. Something I do every night is I lock up, I go to my bed, I get ready for bed, I take my EDC flashlight, I walk around the house, I check all the windows, I give it a quick burst, I check the doors are locked. It sounds dumb, but I'm building up that muscle memory on my EDC flashlight. So I know exactly where momentary is and I know exactly where constant is. It's very important. And these little things that people who have a less prepared mindset think is stupid, allow them to think it's stupid. It's fine. When I tell people I do that, they're like, what are you doing? You just locked the doors. I know I just locked the doors. I'm double checking, and I'm also building up a skill and a muscle memory on a tool that could potentially be used to save my life, getting me in or out of a bad situation, or into a good situation, from a bad situation, or out of a bad situation into a better situation. So guys, I also want to talk to you about strobe. So most of us have flashlights these days that have a built-in strobe. I'll be honest, I didn't use that built-in strobe once. The strobe we used was a more controlled strobe in function, purposefully beaming our target in our own time and with our own purpose, especially when we did a little segment where we would have the the flashlight lined up in whichever position you chose, whether it be cheek, FBI, Harry's, whatever the case may be, and you'd have your firearm out, and basically before your shot, you'd light up the target. I'll just turn the flashlight away from the camera, light up the target, take the shot, and the flashlight goes off. Having that control is really important, and you're only going to develop that control if you train with the LiteU EDC, because when you need it, is probably not going to be on the range. It's going to be in real life when you want to be EDCing the right light. So guys, those are things I want to talk to you about. Another thing is pay attention to your flashlight step down timers. A lot of flashlights say 2000 lumens, whatever. But if you read the fine print, it's 2000 lumens for 1 minute. 2000 lumens for 45 seconds. Okay? So I would rather have 800 lumens for 10 minutes than 2000 lumens for 45 seconds stepping down to 100 lumens, whatever the case may be. Okay, same thing with Candela, and it's just transferable from there. So pay attention to the fine print. The course was run by SA Tactical Institute. I must say, absolutely magnificent course. I'm going to do the review of the course next week. I do just want to add, guys, this was an advanced course. It covers movement. A lot of people go to a range and they think a shooting range generally is something where you work on maybe your draw stroke and your accuracy and your basics of firearm handling and manipulation. This was a more urban tactical course. It provided you with urban tactics. So understand that when I do the review of the course, there's going to be movement forwards and movement backwards, as it would happen in real life. I know a lot of sports shooters will freak out about that. I understand. I'm not here to preach. I will say right now, I thought the course was brilliant and everything taught made absolute sense. That is sort of a buyer's guide for an EDC defensive flashlight. Bear those concepts in mind. This was more of a chat than a review, but I think it's really important and I wanted to do it while the course was still fresh in my mind. Bear those concepts in mind when you go and look at your next or your first everyday carry flashlights. Do you want it to have a defensive application? If so, consider the things I spoke about in this video. If you are looking to get the PowerTac Valor, I will say it survived that course and performed brilliantly. These are available from Torch SA. I'll leave a link down below. Very cool flashlight, and it's really not too big, guys. I know it looks long, but it slips into your pocket and literally all you see is possibly about that bit. Retrieving it from your pocket, super easy. Stowing it, really easy, and re-accessing it is also really easy. I really like the button press on this because the amount of control you have is absolutely awesome before it goes into constant on. Very cool light. I really like it. Go out of your way to get to these guys' courses. Okay, for me personally, it was a 104-kilometer round trip for me to get there. I worked a full day. I did the course from 5 until 10:30 in the night. Came home, slept, did another course with James Smart the next morning, and we are here now. So in the past like 18 or so hours, I've spent 11 of them on a range. So there's no excuse for not doing these courses. The guys who run the courses are super accommodating. So you know, if you have to get, I don't recommend it. I got there a bit late, but I work a 9 to 5. My channel is EDC for the EDG, everyday carry for the everyday guy. I'm an everyday guy, right? So I had to work, and literally as soon as I was finished with work, I shot through to the course. As I said, 104-kilometer round trip, but I still made it. There's no excuse if a course is happening 20-30 kilometers from your home and you say you can't do it because it's too far away, whatever the case may be. Go out of your way, prioritize these things. And the funny thing is, the more of them you do, the more of them you're going to want to do. It's very addictive because a lot of like-minded people. Guys, thank you for taking the time to mission through this video. I know it was more of a chat than a fancy showy review video, which I tend to like to do on a Sunday. Next Sunday is the review of the course. You're going to want to stay tuned for it because there's a lot of great footage I got. Again, thank you to everyone involved. I'm going to do the giveaway. For those of you who have been following my channel, you know I'm doing a giveaway of an Olight i3T EOS. I'll leave the link to it up here. I'll do it in the week. So You still have time to enter if you want. A lot of people have entered. Thank you so much for entering and for your support. Guys, as always, Black Friday is still a real deal. I'll leave links down below if you want to buy yourself something on Torch SA or OLED SA's website. Shop responsibly. Buy what you need. Don't buy what you don't. That is it, guys. Have a good week. I will see you soon for a review or a vlog. Cheers. Be safe. Train hard. God bless.